What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to part one of a brand new series where I'll be showing you step by step how to build and deploy a cloud application from scratch. Throughout this series, we'll cover everything from standing up your development environment to building and deploying a web app and backend, and we'll even be standing up some automated deployment pipelines. So by the end of this series, you'll have a fully functioning web app that you can proudly showcase on your resume. Whether you're just getting started or looking to sharpen your cloud skills, you've come to the right place, and I'm excited to build this project with you. Now, diving into what we're going to be building for this series, this is one of my favorite cloud projects as it not only gives you some hands-on experience, but it also doubles as an online portfolio. As you can see, I've got my name here, followed by a quick summary of how many times my portfolio has been viewed, and then below that, we've got some social links. As I scroll down, I've got a quick about me section, and at the bottom, I've got some certifications and work history. So this is what we're going to be building out for this series. I got a lot of my inspiration from the Cloud Resume Challenge as well as A Cloud Guru. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I'm a really big advocate of this project and of this challenge, both for beginners and for intermediate level engineers. I'm not going to spend a ton of time and dig into every single one of these requirements, but I did take some time to try to summarize the project with some high-level requirements and also some setup steps that we're going to need to run on your machine before we get started. Starting with the high-level requirements, we're going to need to write your resume in HTML and then serve it as a static website. We're going to need a database to store the active portfolio view account and then an API layer to interact with that database. Lastly, we're going to stand up some CI/CD pipelines to deploy your code up to the cloud. Now, diving into a high-level process flow diagram, as you can see here, our website or our web browser will be responsible for reaching out to Azure Front Door, which will then fetch your static website from Azure Blob Storage. That static website will then make an API call to an Azure function, which then interacts with the Cosmos database, both getting and incrementing the active portfolio view count. So that's a little bit of a bird's eye view about what we're going to be building throughout this series. For the remainder of this video, I'm going to go ahead and run through these setup steps on my machine so you can follow along. Just a call out, I am doing this on Mac. If you are on PC, no need to panic. The project is pretty much the exact same. There will be a couple small installation steps that look differently, but I will touch on that as I'm burning through it. And then also, before we dive in, I listed out a couple potential optimizations for this project that, in my opinion, take it from like a beginner intermediate level project to an advanced level project. If you guys would like to see me extend the challenge and implement these features, go ahead and drop some comments below, and I'm more than happy to do that. Alrighty, now diving into some of the accounts and some of the tooling that we'll need for this project, starting with an Azure portal account, I recommend that you just do a Google search for create Azure portal account. And then you're going to want to click the top link here. This will take you to the Azure portal landing page. And here there should be a link to try Azure for free. One of the best things about Azure is it's going to give you $200 worth of free credits if you don't already have an account or if you are a student. So we want to take advantage of that. So click this link. It should take us to a sign up page. I already have an account, so I'm going to be signing in here. But for you guys, you're going to want to create a new account. And it may ask you like some basic information, first name, last name, email, phone number. And it may also ask you for a credit card. If so, again, you already have the $200 of free credits, and this project will not cost more than $1 or $2 to stand up. So it should not be pulling any money from your credit card. Alrighty, so I'm gonna just keep going through the sign-in process. Again, you will be doing the sign-up process on your side. And ultimately, they're gonna take us to the same place. So this is going to take us to the Azure portal. Think of this as like a high-level command center for every resource that you have deployed into Azure. We're going to be spending a lot of time here throughout this series, so you can go ahead and bookmark this now. Alrighty, so we can cross that off the list. We have Azure portal set up. Next on the list is a GitHub account. Similar to Azure portal, I recommend that you just do a search for create GitHub account. Click on the top link, and that'll take you to a sign-in page or a sign-up page where you can enter in your information. Again, I already have an account, so I'm going to be signing in. But for you guys, you can go ahead and sign up. GitHub is kind of a standard across the engineering space. It's a way for you to contribute to other projects and also show off some of the stuff that you've been working on. So it's a big win that we're getting this set up as part of this project. And potential employers may be asking for this. That is another good thing about this project is we are not only building out a full-fledged project, but we're also standing up a GitHub account. Alrighty, so we've got GitHub stood up. Next thing we're going to need is somewhere to write our code. I'm going to be using VS Code, but if you if you have a very strong preference for another IDE, go ahead and use that. VS Code, it's going to allow us to write the front end and the back end code all in one place. So if you don't have a strong, preference one way or the other, go ahead and use VS Code with me just so it's easy to follow along. To download this, just do VS Code for Mac, click on the top link, and perfect. Yep, this will give you the Mac download link as well as the Windows download link. If you're not sure if you're on an Intel chip or an Apple Silicon chip, you can go to About This Mac, and here you can see for me, I'm on the Apple M4 chip, so I'm on Apple Silicon. If this says Intel, you'll want to choose Intel. I'll go ahead and click this link. It's going to ask me where I want to download this. I'm just going to throw it in my downloads right now, and then I can unpack it into my application folder. So we'll go ahead and open up this. Perfect. So you see it's here in our downloads. I'm going to drag this into my applications, and then I should be good to go there. If you want to make sure that that was installed successfully, you can either open it directly through your application folder, or you can open a Spotlight search with Command Spacebar and just type in Visual Studio Code, click Enter, and as you can see here, it launches VS Code for us. So this is where we're going to be writing a lot of our front end and our back end code. So we can go ahead and cross this off the list. All right, we're making some good progress here. Next on the list, we need some sort of a backend runtime and SDK in order to develop and deploy our function app locally. I'm pretty sure the Azure Cloud Resume Challenge calls on Python, but just in spirit of keeping everything in the Microsoft ecosystem, I'm going to be using .NET. .NET 8 is the latest and greatest at the time that I am recording this video, so I'm going to be using that. So again, you're probably seeing a pattern here, .NET download Mac. I also will be linking all of these installation links in the description below, so no need to be doing all these Google searches. You can just click the links, but I think it's good for you guys to see how I'm finding all this nonetheless. Perfect. So this is, you can see .NET 8, it is in long-term support, basically meaning that it's the standard for what you should be building your apps on. You can go ahead and just click this download link, and that should kick it off for you. I've already got it downloaded, so I'm not going to click this. But what you can do after you download it, if you want to make sure that everything installed correctly, you can come to your terminal and run .NET version. This should give you the version that you just installed on your machine. For me, it's 8.0.405. But the important thing is when you run this command that you get back some sort of a version. If you get an error or some sort of unexpected exception, I recommend you throw it in Google or even throw it in ChatGPT. A lot of the new AI models are really good at troubleshooting and pointing you in the right direction. So honestly, like throughout the series, I recommend you do that if you run into any roadblocks. And also, if you run into a roadblock and you can't get around it, just comment in the just comment below, and I can go ahead and try to get all those addressed as well. All right, so we have got the .NET 8 SDK and runtime installed, so we can cross that out. Next is the Azure function tools. These are just used kind of in tandem with our backend runtime. They will be used just to develop and deploy our Azure function. So I will come and do a search for Azure function tools Mac. Click the top link. And if I scroll down, cool. So it's got both the Windows installation steps and the Mac installation steps. Obviously, I'm on Mac, so I'm going to use Mac. It is recommending that we install Homebrew. This is just a package manager for Mac. It's going to make it easier for us to add different tools and apps to our machine down the line. So let's go ahead and install that. I just popped it open in a new tab. I will copy the bash command, go back to my terminal and paste that. This will ask you for a password. This is the password on your machine, or potentially the administrator password. And it's just telling me where it's going to install everything. And then it's going to go ahead and kick off the install process. Perfect. So we see installation was successful. If we want to double check that that installed successfully, you can run a brew version, and you can see I'm on version 4 of brew. All right. So we can now go back to the Azure function core tools, copy this series of bash commands, and then go back to our terminal and paste those, and this should get the Azure function core tools installed. You can see I already have it installed, but for you, it should be doing a fresh install from scratch, which may take a minute or two, so don't panic if it doesn't happen immediately. And then here you can run a func version to just make sure that that all installed correctly. You can see I'm on version 4 of the Azure function tools. Alrighty, so I think we just have one more step here left as part of the setup before we can get started on our journey. Yep, and that is the Azure CLI. And as you guys guessed, I am just going to do a search for Azure CLI download. Go ahead and click this top link. If I scroll down, awesome. So it's going to, I went to the Windows one, sorry about that. If I do Azure function download Mac, and then scroll down. There we go. Yeah, so it's going to have us use Homebrew, which is what we just installed in the previous step. So we can just copy this bash command, go back to our terminal, paste it, and run it. And as you can see, yep, I already have it and it's up to date. For you, it's going to do a brand new installation. And then you can run AZ version just to make sure that all installed successfully. You can get your CLI version as well as some of the underlying dependencies. Alrighty, so that is it for part 1 of this video. We have knocked out the machine setup. In the next video, we will go ahead and build out our front end and get our front end deployed. So I am looking forward to seeing you guys over there. We'll see you later.